friend, Mayor Sue Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a book. It's a novel.
But are you okay with it up here?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, everyone. It's so great to be here today. Before I begin, there's a few people here I want to recognize because I really appreciate them coming, and they're very good friends of our city and myself. And that's Dr. Allenez and Dr. Stevens from Portage High School. Thank you so much for coming today. And also Wilma Velasquez from the, Wilma, where are you? Are you still here? Okay. She is on the school board, and she's always a great supporter of everything the city's doing. And Andy Milletta, who's with EDC. And Andy is their new executive director, but I have to say he's doing a bang-up job for our city, bringing new business into the city, and we really appreciate what he's doing. Also, my dear friend and fellow mayor, Bill Carroll from Lake Station. Bill and I are really good friends and support each other, and when things get rough, we're always on the phone talking to each other. And one other person is Lorelei Weimer, because she works very much with the city. She's with the Tourism Bureau, and we're going to be doing some great things with her this year. So thank you for coming. You're all important. No one is less important than the other, so I don't want you to think I left you out because you weren't important, because you are. So thank you all for coming today, and thanks Nancy for putting this all together. She always does a great job every year, and thanks to the Portage Park Department and Amy and all of the staff here who put these tables up and take them down multiple times in the week. So we appreciate everything you do. And to my dear friend Zernell Shackelford, who is live streaming this today for people at home who are not here but want to hear about the state of the city. So I'm really excited to be here this year because we have some really great things happening in our city, and there's a lot more to come. There is a lot of things I want to tell you about that's going on. I'm happy to report that the state of the city is great. It's stronger than it's ever been, and it's getting stronger, and I'm very excited about that. And we all know where we were 3 years ago. We all knew that we were really behind the 8 ball financially, and when we came in, it was really tough for us, but the future for Portage is much brighter today than it was 3 years ago. A lot of sacrifices have been made to get us where we are today, and it didn't happen overnight, and it certainly didn't come without painful cuts and major restructuring on the part of our department heads. So that being said, I'd like to thank and recognize some people who rolled up their sleeves, who have worked endless hours for your city. Your council members, I think Deb is here today, Deb Podgorski. I know several of them are at work today and couldn't make it. Colin Zilli, Brian Gully, Scott Williams, I believe, is here with his wife Vicki. Gina Geist-Hurst from District 1 is here today. Ferdinand Alvarez and Pat Clem. If it wasn't for these people, because they are the fiduciary body of the city, so they control the purse strings of how much money the city has and can spend. I want to give a special shout out to the budget committee members, Deb Podgorski, Scott Williams, and Colin Zilli, because they worked with the clerk treasurer's office to bring in these budgets that we have been cutting and getting online to get our city back where we need to be. In 2020, the city was forced to take a $5.3 million general obligation bond to pay outstanding bills that were left by the previous administration and to make our first payroll because we only had $11,000 in the bank and couldn't make that payroll. But this year, I'm happy to report that is much better, and the state, for the first time in a long, long time, did not cut our budget. So that shows we are on the road to recovery. When we had our recent State Board of Accounts audit, the auditors told us, you're getting so much better. So we were very happy about this. And I just want to say, I certainly didn't do this alone. To make this happen, our department heads, many of them are here today, had to take a hard look at their budgets and they had to trim them down to just the basic needs. I'm really honored and proud to have this team that helps me run the city. I've surrounded myself, I believe, with honest, capable department heads who I trust. I trust them to run their departments. I don't follow them around. They're doing their job. So at this minute, I want to take a few seconds to recognize and personally thank our awesome team of department heads, because it's because of their dedication that we are better today. So I want to, our City Attorney Dan Whitten. Dan, would you stand up? My amazing executive assistant, Norma, she's my only employee. So. Our police chief, Mike Candiano. Our fire chief, Randy Wilkening. Our community development director, AJ Monroe. Our streets and sanitation superintendent, Randy Reeder. Our sanitation department superintendent, Tracy Marshall. How are you, Tracy? Our field forces superintendent, Dan Commenda, who now has COVID, so he's not with us today. Our park superintendent, she's relatively new, Diane Lido. Our harbor master, Barb Lesko. And our building commissioner, Rich Jones, who couldn't be with us today. So together, all of this team and I, we're working together to make your city better every single day. Of course, one of our pride and joys in the city, and one I love to talk about, is Founders Square and the new plaza. The improvements we made last year included rebuilding the food court area, doing some much needed electrical upgrades, they were essential, resurfacing Hannah's Hope Playground. If you haven't seen it, it really came out nice, and closing the road between North and South Founders Square, which makes it much safer for our kiddos. This area now has become a gathering place for all of the events like the market, music, and movie events that we have every Friday in the city, and Saturday and Sunday concerts that we have, not always every Saturday and Sunday, but we have some great concerts coming up. This year you're going to see additional walkways, shade structures, and landscaping added to Founders and the plaza. So we're still not done there, we're still working on things. Last year, we hosted the Memorial Day services at Founders Square Amphitheater in partnership with the American Legion Post 260, and I think we probably had one of the biggest turnouts we have ever had honoring our veterans. Our 4th of July parade, festival, and fireworks were outstanding. We had a sea of nearly 8,000 people who gathered at Founders in the plaza to watch our amazing fireworks display. Truly, I think it was one of the best ever, and it might have been a record for the city because that place was packed. I want to recognize right now our police and fire departments for the amazing job they did at keeping us all safe at that event. That was a huge crowd of people. They did a great job. And I have to say, once the last note of God Bless America was played, everyone began to exit all at one time. And our first responders had that crowd in their cars and on the road in 30 minutes. Great job, outstanding work. It was outstanding, so thank you again. The Redevelopment Commission, which funded the Founders Square improvements, is back on track to financial health. 3 years ago, the Redevelopment Commission was in really dire straits. We hardly had any money to do anything. And if you know about redevelopment commissions, they're kind of like what makes things happen in the city. This year, I am proud to say that the Redevelopment Commission began its year with $7 million. What an amazing turnaround. And this is going to help the commission tackle many more projects for our city. And we have rebuilt the Redevelopment Commission's budget by selling off properties. We've been selling properties and living on a really strict budget that included not taking on any projects that should never be funded by the RDC in the first place. This has allowed us to cash flow every project you have seen funded in this city by the Redevelopment Commission. You may have seen that the Redevelopment Commission regained 170 acres of property north of the interstate that was supposed to be the sports complex. Many, many developers have come to us. They know that property's up there and it's sitting there. But before any decision has made, whatever gets built on that location is going to be successful and is going to be an asset to our future here in Portage, and we're not going to just jump on any bandwagon and the first thing that comes along. We're being very careful about what we want to see up there. You may, excuse me, I want to talk a little bit about our Community Development Director, AJ. AJ, would you? Because when AJ came back on board, because he's been in and out of the city for how many years, AJ? He really wasn't prepared for the budget that he came into, but he has worked with us faithfully and guided us through all these projects that we're doing. And I like to talk about the Redevelopment Commission because they are the true workhorse for the city. The Redevelopment Commission funds many of the projects that take place in the city, not everyone, but that includes projects in the downtown, the north side, and along Highway 6. In my first year as your mayor, I committed to and promised to completing the Robbins Road extension going to the Portage Township YMCA. I had worked on this previously and I was committed to this project because this project now allows our families to go in and out of the YMCA safely without having to worry about being hit by a car. And I know that I received a lot of comments regarding this project, but I am sure today that those of you who go in and out of the YMCA are much happier that we have that road there. Well, some people say it's the road to nowhere. It could really, truly, in the future, lead to development because it has opened landlocked properties that are now available for development and will bring in additional tax revenue into the city. Maintaining our roads in the city is another vital thing. Our city street department was able to crack seal 15 miles of roads last year, which extends the life of the road and saves us millions of dollars in paving costs. So this is essential, and it's a big job for our guys, but it really saves us a lot of money. Last year we purchased a new piece of equipment called the Vortex Total Patcher, which allows the department to repair areas using a mixture of small rock and emulsion. And if you get by it, look at it, it's really unique. It's actually very big too. And we all know now that we're here in spring and those potholes start popping up, they become an annoyance. This Vortex Patcher is a more permanent fix. And like when you drop asphalt into a pothole, it usually pops back out. But that doesn't happen with this, so it's saving us a lot of time. Once we fix that hole, it's fixed. Everybody knows that I am not a fan of pop-up projects, which are projects that we didn't really budget for in the Redevelopment Commission, but they just kind of come along. We do consider them because they are a benefit to our residents and citizens, so we look at them and we consider them. So in late 2021, due to the disbanding of the Portage Little League downtown, the RDC took on one of those pop-up projects and purchased the Little Leagues at a cost of $750,000, even though they were really in very bad shape. But thanks to Noah Simmons and an all-volunteer group that he helped put together with the Railcats crew and with help from Andy Milletta, our EDC director, and others, the Challenger League was able to play their season there on one of the fields last year. And you're gonna see a lot more activity on those fields this year because the park-sponsored baseball teams are going to be playing on those fields. There's gonna be a lot of work left on those fields, and we are working to put something together, and if you keep your eye on those fields, you're gonna see them changing throughout the summer. But again, that's the Redevelopment Commission and their dollars working for you. The Redevelopment Commission is also working on a downtown plan. They've been meeting, they had several meetings over a period of a couple of weeks. And the goal with that downtown plan is to bring new businesses and new residents to that area so that we can create a vibrant, walkable, pedestrian-friendly downtown. It's something we're sorely lacking, and I know that when people go to Valpo and they walk around, it's lovely, but we have to take baby steps to get there. But trust me, we are working on getting there. Design and engineering on this downtown plan called 1B is going to start this year, and it's going to include the design of Main and Vivian Streets, development of a sports complex, restructuring of the parking lot at the Portage Mall, and is going to provide additional green space and trails in that area. So we are working. You're going to see things happening. Again, baby steps. Future phases of the downtown are going to include adding residential development, extending Carmen Street, doing streetscape projects along Central Avenue, and stormwater management projects. And I know stormwater isn't, a really exciting thing to talk about, but the underground of our city is just as important as above ground. We need to keep maintaining that. These projects are going to be funded actually through private and public partnerships. I'm going to be talking about that in a minute, because public investment in our downtown is going to drive this proposed development. It just can't be us doing it all. In addition, you're also going to be seeing utility work done downtown by American Water, because they're replacing the old water lines on the south side of Central Avenue. And I'm very well aware of that because they started on my street, Vivian Street. And so I know it's a holy mess right now, but it's really important that we maintain that underground infrastructure, those water lines, those sanitary lines. It's just something that when your city is growing, you have to keep going on. Another project that's really near and dear to my heart is the Outdoor Learning Center, and I know you've heard me talk about it. It's something that's going to happen on the south side of the library. We have been working with the county library system to make this happen. It is going to be an outdoor learning center. If you've never been to the one in Valparaiso, they're also building one, I believe, in Hebron. It's simply amazing. It's going to be a wonderful asset to our city, and it's going to be great for the library too. So we are very excited. That's hopefully going to begin in the next month or so, but we are struggling with trying to get the finances lined up, so it's not moving as fast as I would like it to move, but it is going to happen. Another project that's a long planned project that's been off and on over the years is the Central Avenue West project, and that recently received a great boost from our Congressman Frank Mervan to the tune of $2.3 million in earmark money, and that was a huge chunk of money that's going to help us move Central Avenue West even farther towards County Line Road. This is, again, I say, is a huge project for our city. The bridge over Willow Creek on Central Avenue is going to be replaced. This portion of the road and the bridge is going to be done by the county, because county is responsible for the road. So we are going to be straightening the curve out at Swanson Road. And if you see, there are people out there working now, but it's going to get very busy as they begin the bridge project. We know that this is a huge project, and we anticipate that road being closed maybe 150 days. So you're going to want to pay attention to announcements as that goes along. We're trying to keep everybody up to speed on that. But it's really an important project because it's a project that's going to change the face of Central Avenue. And so I know it's going to be an inconvenience, but it's going to be so much better. Even like the Willow Creek bypass that we did last summer. And this project, I think now that you see that it's done, is so much nicer for our city. It was kind of an eyesore. The bypass was really a mess, and it was just like really riding on an old bumpy road, and it really came out nice. And again, the county stepped in and resurfaced the bridges, and that stretch of road came out really nice. In 2021, we undertook a massive renovation project at City Hall, something that had been promised by previous administrations, but it hadn't happened, so, excuse me. City Hall employees had to leave their home for a while because we had so much work going on there. But we never stopped our services. Everything went along, even though everything was relocated here to the park. And we didn't move back into City Hall until June of 2022, after converting that old fire station and modernizing that whole area. So today, I'm really, really proud to say we have a state-of-the-art council chambers, finally. And it allows all city meetings to be held in one location. Many of those meetings are live streamed so people can sit at home and watch them on their TV. City Hall is now a warm, friendly building. It's the hub of our government and one that now is finally what I call the people's house. We've actually even installed a fully functional operational elevator. At long last, the tin box, I don't know how many of you are aware of the tin box that used to be the elevator, is gone. It's history. And I'm proud to say that this entire project was rebuilt using union labor, and many of those union laborers were people from our own city. So if you haven't stopped by City Hall, I hope you do. Come and look at what we've done. We're still kind of touching up certain parts of it, but it just shows what you can do when you all come together and work together as a team. So I'm going to go back to the RDC. We own several properties, and many of these properties are currently on the market, including downtown properties. So the sale of these properties is going to help the redevelopment budget continue to build our downtown. I need to take a deep breath here because the RDC does so much, and I know I'm always talking about it. And so I would be remiss if I didn't point out some people here today who are on the Redevelopment Commission, because without them, a lot of this wouldn't happen. I know Ralph Munt is here. He sits on the Redevelopment Commission. Greg Locke, I don't think Greg is here today. His boss is here today. Oh, that's not good. Alan Ekdahl, Colin Zilli, and myself. We have committed endless hours to the Redevelopment Commission, but it's all thanks to AJ and his staff, because they are the ones that bring these projects to us, explain them to us, tell us the relevancy of the projects. The commission members don't receive any money. They're not paid for that. They don't even receive a stipend, and yet their commitment is so mighty to this Redevelopment Commission. They just spend hours and hours of their time reviewing all these projects. I know Ralph and Greg were in the office several days recently going over some projects regarding the ball fields and how we're going to make all of that downtown project happen. So I want to talk a little bit about grants and emphasize it. You know, I know there's probably a lot of people in this room that do grants. I'm looking at some of your faces, and grants aren't easy. I mean, they're a lot of work, and they have to be managed, and you have to have an employee dedicated to them throughout the lifetime of the grant. So I think that we're just not magically handed money and that's it. There's a lot of work that comes along with these grants. So speaking of grants, I want to thank our Congressman Mervan, because it's because of him that we were able to do a major sanitary project last summer. The sanitary line that runs from Highway 6 to the plant is 4 miles long. That's an interceptor pipe that carries our wastewater to the plant, and it's constantly needing to be attended to and repaired and cameraed and fixed. The cost to replace just this one piece of the interceptor pipe last year was $1.4 million. Our city's cost was $470,000, thanks to the congressman and the grant. I see previous Mayor Olga, she knows, because she worked on that interceptor pipe when I was on the council, and it was a big controversial thing then. We still needed to complete a piece of this line, but we kind of ran out of money and we couldn't do it. But recently we got a call from the congressman's office informing us that he has secured another $1 million for us to complete this project and fix out that siphon. So again, these grant monies are vital in us being able to maintain our city. Neither of these projects could have happened without the help of the Army Corps of Engineers either. Yet another grant-funded project is the construction of 2 major sections of the Market Greenway Trail. How many of you have been on the Market Greenway Trail? Are you even familiar with the Market Greenway Trail? I mean, it's an awesome trail. They've been working on it for a long time. It's one of 3 major trails that cross our city, giving people the opportunity to bike and hike and enjoy the outdoors. Along with the Prairie Duneland Trail and the Iron Horse Heritage Trail, we are proud to say in our city that Portage has more trails than most of the neighboring communities in Northwest Indiana. And these trails, I might add, were a godsend during COVID because it allowed families to get outside and get on these trails and get some fresh air. A lot of people weren't even aware of the trails, but due to COVID and then wanting to get out, they got out on the trails, and now there's even more people using the trails. The segment of the Market Greenway Trail between 149 and Deer Trail Park through Ameriplex has now been completed. Last year, we started the segment between Deer Trail Park and the city limits of Burns Harbor. This section of the trail should be completed sometime this spring, and not only includes the extension of the trail, but a beautiful bridge going over Salt Creek. The view is just spectacular out there, and I have to say, the Market Greenway Trail is so wonderful because it's going to take you from Illinois all the way to Michigan once this stretch of trail is completed. It's simply awesome. Again, these improvements, which add quality of life to our community and others, is funded by grants, and this particular bridge was funded through a Next Level Trails grant program, and our city, I think, got the most in that round, and we have $2.5 million, and it was because of the bridge. But the bridge wouldn't be there if we hadn't gotten the Next Level Trails money. And it's not just the Redevelopment Commission that gets grants. Every single one of our departments works hard to get grants and find money so they can have more things for their department. So I just want to mention a few of these other grants that happen because these department heads are out there looking for other money to make their department better. Our fire department has now added a 3rd full-time ambulance, something that was critically needed. The city has added 5 new firefighters because they needed additional firefighters to have this ambulance in service. So that brings our fire department staff up to 67, which is great. And this is the first ambulance, full-time ambulance they've added in since 2001, Randy. And I have to say that the call volume on our fire department is huge, and this was so needed. I want to shout out to our council and the budget committee because they were very much in support of this. In 2021, the city received $8.3 million in Rescue Act funding, and this was just a one-time windfall for us, but it did help us get some things for the city. One thing that's really big that we're going to get is a new fire engine, and I'm happy for the fire department because it's pretty sad when your engine goes down and you have to borrow one from a neighboring community. I mean, we desperately need this one. There's many more needs there, but it takes a long time to get a fire engine. It takes almost a year to build the specs just to get one and another year to get it. So it's looking like maybe sometime early in 2024 we might get this piece of equipment. The fire department is also preparing to order another new ambulance, which is going to be paid for out of Medicare reimbursement funds that we get from ambulance buildings, not tax money. So they've been able to capture these funds, which is another thing that they do to help get equipment for their department. Grants allow our departments to get things like recently the fire department received all new portable radios from an Assistant to Firefighters grant. They got special respirators from a federal COVID grant. They got cancer preventing fire hoods from a Leary Foundation grant, and trauma bags, SWAT radios, and accountability tracking system, and underwater dive communication devices from a state grant. So look at all this equipment they got by getting out there and finding these grants and helping make their department better. I'm happy to announce that our police department now has 8 additional officers on the streets, plus a new code enforcer. So when I ran for mayor in 2019, I promised to bring our police back into Portage schools. That was a big deal for me, and it was a bigger deal for you. So we are so happy to say that we now have 3 resource officers, right, Chief, in the schools, 3 in Portage schools. They have been working faithfully with the school system. It's working out beautifully, and I'm happy for the school system as well. I mean, our kiddos need to be safe, and we need to know that they're protected at all times. So thanks to the ARPA funds, our officers now have body cams. This is the first time in our city that we've had the body cams for our officers, and this is really a big thing. We have AED equipment in our squad cars, which, by the way, have been deployed on 12 occasions since June of last year, which is resulting in the saving of lives. In addition, we purchased 15 new fully equipped police cars. We've added 3 new canines, including one that specializes in narcotics interdiction. So all in all, we have 6 canines. That's amazing. I mean, these canines are really an awesome asset to the city. I mean, I remember years when we didn't have them, but they're extremely helpful. The police have also created a new field training program with emphasis on training on de-escalation, diversity, and mental health, and we all know today's day and age how really important that is. It's something our officers constantly need to be trained on, read the papers every day. My granddaughter is a law student at Michigan State. Just the other day they had a shooting there. So our officers need to constantly have training so they can protect our kids. I'm happy to announce, very happy to announce that Portage is going green, literally, because you see our bright green sanitation trucks that are driving around the city. We have 3 of them, and we have more on order. Those are compressed natural gas vehicles, CNG. We're very excited about that because they're going to result in huge cost savings to our city. Part of these vehicles were purchased from a Volkswagen grant we received over $550,000, Randy, and we have a NOFA grant in through NERC. So we are hoping that that grant comes through, and we're going to replace our aging, horrible-looking sanitation trucks. But they're going to be CNG, and they're going to be clean burning, no fumes. They're so quiet. It's just wonderful. I'm so happy that we're doing that. And our utilities department is looking at CNG vehicles as well. Our sanitary plant is prepping for some major improvements. Utilities are going to be replacing 4 of the clarifiers at the plant. And I want to say that I think they're getting close to like $4 million. What are the costs of those? Yeah. $4 million. So that's a lot of money, but these clarifiers are 42 years old. We have not replaced clarifiers at our plant. And it's really critical that we do that because we are undergoing substantial growth in our city right now, and we have to continue to maintain that sanitary structure if we're going to keep adding more businesses and more single-family dwellings. In the last 3 years alone, the city's building department has issued permits for over 200 new homes, single-family homes in our city. We've added new businesses and others have expanded. I'm so happy. Imagine Theaters here, they opened up after IMAX closed. If you've not been there, talking about luxury, heated recliners. You sit there, you order your pizza, they bring it to you. Bring your blanket, go to the Imagine Theater. That's awesome. If there's snoring, they don't throw you out. I mean, it's really wonderful. We have a new Popeyes at long last. We got beat up horribly on Facebook over Popeyes, and it's like, okay, they're here now. We have a Tractor Supply, great if you've not been in there. Planet Fitness, we have a Smoothie King and a Candy Shack. Bee Nutty, our peanut butter, I don't know if how many of you remember when Bee Nutty moved here to Portage. It was a big deal, but it's an even bigger deal for them now. I don't know if Andy's up on the numbers, but they are shipping worldwide now. This peanut butter is going all over the world. And they are going to be putting a huge expansion on, I think, because they have just blown up in sales. It's just amazing. And we have Amazon, who's coming in and building a data center at Ameriplex. I mean, our city is really going great guns, and we don't expect this growth to slow down. All of this investment in our city builds valuation. It offsets those god-awful tax caps that we've been burdened with, and it provides work and opportunity and jobs for our residents. Portage has 15 parks, which are maintained and programmed by a very small, I'm looking at Amy there, really dedicated, committed staff. But our parks are the shining jewel of our city. I mean, they're awesome. They were so good during COVID because people could go to the park. Under Superintendent Leto's leadership, the department is moving forward. I keep saying, don't leave me now, you're doing great things. This year, for the first time in a long time, the state approved their budget without cutting it to the bone. But they are still recovering from that last cut, which was $375,000. They cut their budget, it devastated them. So we're rebuilding this park department, and we're doing it in a lot of little ways, and you'll be seeing that happening. Because our parks have become the refuge, especially during the pandemic. Thousands of people visit our parks every year, and our parks host recently just had the daddy-daughter dance last weekend, the mommy-son events, craft shows, summer market and movies, and outdoor concerts. So the park is a really active part of one of the departments of our city. So we need to be supportive of that. The Sammy Moletta Marina, which is our outdoor entrance to Lake Michigan, offers countless opportunities for outdoor recreation. We have 214 slips there that are mostly always filled, aren't they, Barb? So again, grants. Barb's out there looking for grants. In the last 3 years, the marina, which is self-supporting from the slip money, got several grants that replaced 2 waste pump outs. They added recycling bins. They replaced portable de-icers. Original launch ramps were replaced. They've paved. They've put in dock boxes. And then they did outdoor lighting. They switched over to LED thanks to a grant from NIPSCO. So it's very important that they continue to get grants. The Port Authority, which the marina is under, continues to work with consultants in the DNR. They're looking at a fish cleaning station and a public fishing pier. So again, these are all things that happen because of grant money. One of the things during the past 3 years my administration has done is we have worked aggressively to build old partnerships that had fallen by the wayside and to grow new partnerships. We've recommitted ourselves to NERPC, the Northwest Indiana Forum, and the Shared Ethics Advisory Commission, which I serve on those. And we are partners with them because we recognize that what's good for the region is good for Portage. We are not an island here in Portage. We have to work on projects like the South Shore double tracking, the development of the transit-oriented district that's going in up north. These are all going to affect us, and we need to have our voice in there, speaking up. And I know AJ attends almost all of those meetings on behalf of the city. We have to participate as our entire region moves forward. I am really honored, and I see Ty Warner here today. Thanks for coming, Ty. Honored to serve as a NERPC commissioner, as well as being the secretary of the executive board. That's a huge honor, but it's also Portage's voice in this group of people. We have a Portage Event Partnership Group, and they're working with the Kiwanis, the American Legion Post 260, the YMCA, the Exchange Club, to bring celebrations to the city like your Memorial Day and Independence Day events, Light Up the Gourds, and our growing Christmas parade and tree lighting event thanks to Kiwanis, helped and came in and brought the parade back. It was awesome last year. It's going to be even better this year. We are partners with the Mayor Senior Advisory Committee, and we are dedicated to doing things for the seniors in our community. We host 2 movies and a brunch every year at the park. We have a senior art fair and honor senior programs at the fair. And this year, after a long hiatus, we are going to bring the senior health fair back. And that's going to be in May, so if you know anybody, it's always a great, great event. For the past 2 years, I have hosted the Mayor's Charity Ball. Always wanted to do it from the beginning, but COVID kind of didn't let that happen. This provides a great night out with family and friends, but it has raised over $35,000 that we gave to local organizations to do the good work that they're doing. This isn't a political event by any stretch of the means. Every dime raised, minus the expenses, is distributed to these nonprofit organizations the night of the ball. As the mayor, I have worked very closely with Governor Holcomb's office. They've been up here 3 times. I've toured them around, and we are really in close partnership with the state on some things that they're doing, one of them being the READY Grant program. They're about to have another round of funding, and I've already met with them to talk to them about that. I'm currently serving as a mayor on the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence City Initiative, which is a consortium of 150 mayors who have properties along the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence Seaway. We are working to make sure that the lakes and rivers that abut our properties are maintained and environmentally safe. As I enter your 4th year as a mayor, wow, it just doesn't seem like 4 years. I'm proud of the work that my team and I have accomplished since we have taken office. We have kept our promises, and we have delivered for the city of Portage. Starting out with a terrible pandemic and our city finances in disarray, we never stopped working for you all during that time. We might not have always been in the building, but we were there working, because our commitment to the residents of Portage is the same today as it was 3 years ago. Good, honest government that you can trust. And I say that with my whole heart. As Mark Twain said, success is a journey, it's not a destination. It requires constant effort, vigilance, and reevaluation. The work we are doing today in this city will set the stage for Portage's growth for 20 to 30 years from now. It's our responsibility as city leaders to ensure that Portage is a place for our residents who want to come home and live here for generations to come. We need to be vigilant doing that. I want to thank you all today for coming, sitting here. I didn't hear any snores. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming today, and have a blessed day.